Cindy Persico from EAP, our Health Advocate EAP program. Sure most of you all have maybe heard Cindy before, but if you have not, you are in for a treat. And she is going to go ahead and get started. Are you ready, Cindy?
I sure am. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Well, welcome, everyone. My name is Cindy Persico. I'm with Health Advocate, your partner for EAP, or Employee Assistance Program Services, and also your partner for Advocacy Services. And I'll give you a brief reminder about those as we go along here today. I am a licensed mental health counselor. I'm also a certified employee assistance professional, and I am also a work in progress, probably just like you are. Even though I present on this topic and I know a lot about how to manage holiday stress, we're all in the same movie, really, trying to do the best we can with what we have. So I'm going to present some information to you today. I'm going to focus on some solid strategies that can give you some potential practical takeaways. I invite you to listen with an ear for maybe a couple of those that you want to run with. Please don't leave with a whole list of to-dos. That can be more exhausting than what we started with. So just think about a few things that resonate with you. I know you're fortunate to be receiving a whole series of staying healthy during the holidays season, which is great. There's so many challenges in doing that it's really wonderful that the district is addressing emotional aspects and eating healthy and all kinds of aspects to help us stay as healthy as possible. And then I will wrap up my portion and I can stay on for a few minutes if anyone has some questions they want to ask, or you want to share some ideas or some best practices. I'll leave a few minutes at the end for that as well. So really glad you're here today. I want to start with just that brief refresher on the EAP program. I'll try to kind of strike a balance for those of you that are very familiar with it versus those of you who may not be as clear on all the different things that Health Advocate provides. So as a district employee, you have between 1 and 6 free confidential sessions, and that is per issue per year. So if you reached out to us today to talk more about holiday stress, and then 2 months from now, you're having parenting challenges or relationship issues, the program resets and you have 1 to 6 that you can use again. It is completely confidential. It's required by law that it must be, unless we hear about something life-threatening or you give us written permission. That's the only way we can disclose anything. So extremely confidential, and it's professional. Anybody you see is going to be a licensed counselor. We're providing virtual sessions. We're providing opportunities to text or chat with a counselor. You can have a phone session, or you can have in-person sessions with safety protocols. And you can also contact us if you're worried about somebody in your family or somebody you work with, you're close to, and you're concerned about them and how to help them get some help. So I did put the number in the chat. It is answered any time of the day or night. And besides the counseling or coaching, I want you to know that we also have a research team working for you. So if you need help finding a winter camp for your kids or childcare, or you're on the other end of the spectrum and you're helping elders, or you may be doing both, we can help you find home help, respite care, places that have openings that fit your budget. This team does that research for you and gives you a short list of places and people that you can then vet further. So we don't tell you who to go with, and we don't make any money off of the referrals. We're just researching for you, trying to save you some time. And you also have a team of attorneys in EAP, 30 minutes, free consult per legal issue. And you also have a team of financial professionals in the EAP. So we're going to talk about budgeting a little bit as part of managing holiday stress. These are the professionals that can help you with that, planning retirement, figuring out how to pay down your credit cards, things like that are all part of the work-life team. So there's no problem too big or too small for us to help you with. As I said, I did put the number in the chat, but in case you're not able to see that for whatever reason, I will go ahead and give it out verbally. If you want to get pen and paper ready or get your phone ready, even better to put it right into your phone. This is a great 24-hour number to have for you, your family members, coworkers. And in addition to all the great EAP services I just described, the district also provides for you to have advocacy services. So if you have a new medical diagnosis or somebody in your family does, and you're trying to navigate the healthcare system, figure out which providers to go to, who's got openings, maybe you want help coordinating a second opinion, maybe you have an avalanche of bills and claims that are coming at you, and it's hard to sort out, what you actually owe. Did the insurance company pay these correctly? We can help with all of that. So for any of these services, EAP, advocacy, both, you would just call the same number. And for Palm Beach County Schools, that number is 855-424-8400. So 855-424-8400. And you'll be speaking with a professional right away who can help you get what you need. So that's a little bit about EAP and advocacy. We always like to just do a brief commercial refresher, just so you know where you can follow up after a session like this if you want some one-on-one help. And we do have a lot of district employees that take advantage of our services, and we hope you will too, if we can help you in any way. So we're going to talk today about stress, which is something you may have heard of, can be a little greater during this holiday season. We're going to talk about specific strategies. What can we do to set ourselves up for a brighter holiday season? And we're going to talk about our mindset, how that can play such an important part, not only in staying healthy from an emotional eating perspective, but also from other aspects as well. So that's kind of our game plan for today. So I invite you, if you're willing, to just reflect for a moment on what are the top 3 things that stress you the most about this holiday season. You can put them in the chat if you want. You can just reflect. You can jot them down for yourself. But it can be really helpful to zero in on what is the greatest sources of stress for us. And that way we can pick strategies that are really tied to those aspects we're most concerned about. Maybe it's buying gifts for so many people, and are you going to be able to afford it? Maybe it's traveling to see family members and worried about what that might be like in this pandemic time we're still in. Maybe you're not able to travel and see family, and that's a source of stress. Maybe it's trying to get everything done in a short amount of time. Maybe it's all of the above, but try to isolate what's on your mind the most. And then another helpful part of this exercise is to also think about, how do you typically manage your stress? What works well for you year round during other times of the year? Maybe you go to a yoga class, maybe you take a walk, maybe you try to stay in touch regularly with friends that lift your spirits. Maybe you pray, meditate, journal. What do you do to keep your spirits up? Because this can be an important time to make sure in this busy season that we're still keeping those things going, right? Because sometimes those are the things that kind of drop off the radar. We think we're too busy. And yet those are the things that can make a big difference in lowering our stress. So that is a potential takeaway already.
Cindy,
yes.
we have a few people that definitely did put some answers in. I didn't know if you wanted to hear any of them, but a few of them are like money, time. Someone said being completely on all the time for everyone. That was a really good one.
Mm-hmm.
Making it magical, what to buy.
Yes.
So these are some great answers. And then as far as the other second part of the question, exercise, fresh air, holiday movies. I've been watching a lot of those. Quality time, quiet time, and spending time and walks.
That's great. Thank you for sharing those, Charlotte. Absolutely. Yeah, those are great answers. And again, see how different they are too, right? What works for somebody or what's on somebody's mind may be very different than your source of stress. So that's why having a personal action plan can be so helpful. So let's talk about what tends to get in our way. Definitely worrying about things we have no control over is very high on the list for most people. And that could be relatives that we don't have control over how they're going to act, and who's going to disagree about masks and vaccinations and all kinds of things like that, to how our travel's going to go. All of those things can be on our mind. So definitely being aware of that as a source of stress. And also perfectionism. This is the time of year when we see those commercials on TV, right? And it's got that perfectly cooked bird in the middle of the table and this multi-generational family all around looking like they're having a great time. They're laughing. Everybody's getting along perfectly, right? And even the family dog is under the table, perfectly well behaved. And so when we see images like that, in those commercials or in those holiday movies that somebody mentioned, they can be a source of comfort, but they can also, just like social media, they can cause us to look at those images and believe that somehow our holidays just aren't measuring up to that, right? That's not the family I have. Well, it turns out that's not the family really any of us have, right? Where, the couple falls in love by the end of the movie, right at Christmas time, right? Or that table image that I just painted. Most of us have drunk Uncle Bill. Most of us have two sisters that aren't getting along, a mother-in-law giving us what we feel is too much parenting advice, right? Our families are perfect in their imperfection. And so when we can embrace that that's more realistic, that's really, people don't post on social media their family dysfunction usually, right? You're getting a little snippet where it looks perfect and all put together. But most people do struggle with some of those images, and it can be depressing. There's a saying, compare and despair, right? That's a way we can really cause ourselves stress and depression. So try as best we can to be aware of this perfectionism. When we judge ourselves, we judge other people, it creates a lot of negativity and stress trying to measure up. Someone mentioned that, trying to be on all the time, right? And in this season, just like last one, we're also still dealing with COVID-19. And it's taking extra energy to figure out, is it safe for me to travel? Or, okay, it's great, there's shows and holiday things going on again. Mask, no mask, too many people there, small group. Do I feel comfortable? Do I not feel comfortable? Is it safe to send my kid there? It's taking extra energy and effort to juggle those other things besides the regular holiday stuff that we deal with. So that's something to keep in mind. And the other thing that really causes a lot of stress is waiting until the last minute to decide what we're going to do for gifts, to decide where we're going to go, what we're going to do. It's not too late to start planning what you want. When you look back, and when we fast forward to January and you look back at the holiday season, what do you want to remember about it? What would make it a better holiday season for you? So starting to think about some of those things now and doing a little at a time, instead of getting really stressed out at the last minute, trying to buy emergency gifts and they're not really what you want to give. And then just adjusting our expectations, expecting that there's going to be some bumps. There's going to be some times where we have different emotions. And one of them that's really common this time of year is feeling a little down, right? We've all been in survival mode a pretty long time. And so most of us are fortunate to live in a pretty sunny climate most of the time. But if you have relatives that don't, seasonal affective disorder is real, sad. There are some light treatments and other kinds of treatment for that. But you may have family members that really get affected. I know my sister does. She lives in Illinois, and, day after day of winter weather really affects her mental health. And even if we don't have that situation, we can experience the blues, partly because of some of the things I was just mentioning. Also, maybe we had losses this year. If you've lost family members or friends, and this is going to be the first season without those loved ones, we may definitely feel some sadness off and on. So that's something to be aware of and to pay attention to as part of the holiday stress as well. So what we really want to focus on is being as resilient as possible. not only around the holidays, but year round. And part of that is learning to make lemonade out of lemons. A lot of us had a lot of practice with that the last year and a half, maybe a little bit more now, of trying to take our situation and figure out what we could do virtually. I know a family that's doing that with their stockings this year. They mailed them to the family members, and then virtually they're going to open them together Christmas morning. And that's a workaround that they came up with because they couldn't physically be together. you know, Reminding ourselves that this is a temporary time, even though it feels like it's gone on as far as COVID, but it's also a temporary time as far as the season. If this isn't your best holiday season, it's going to be over soon. It's one source of comfort. We can also try to find some joy in it, and we'll talk about that as well. But recognizing that we're not perfect, nobody else is going to be either, and really making sure we're focused on spending time on the things that matter most to us. So let's look at a format for drilling down on our stress. A pretty easy, simple way to look at this. It's not always easy to do, but remember a few moments ago, we reflected on what are the 3 sources of stress for you. So we want to make sure we're really identifying solutions for those specific challenges. Have you ever been in a meeting? I'm sure none of you have, or been talking to your spouse or partner and you're going round and round, or your kids, and you lose track of what problem are we trying to solve, right? So looking at our holiday stress through that lens can help us be more specific with how we choose to cope. And then we want to do something that feels like the opposite of how we typically feel. We're probably feeling tensed up when we think about those things that stress us. We want to try to get ourselves in as relaxed a frame of mind as possible. We're going to be able to problem solve better, sleep better, be more creative. So trying some deep breaths, slowing down that train so you can really think clearly about what's best for you. Maybe considering using one of the apps that are out there, Calm, Headspace. I believe you have access to one that doesn't cost anything. Insight Timer, people like. I Breathe is another good one. And Luna, Loona. If you're having trouble getting to sleep or staying asleep this time of year, that can really help as well. And then we really want to adjust our mindset. Am I telling myself a string of negative things like the holidays are going to be awful? Can't believe we're still dealing with COVID-19. My family's probably not going to get along. I don't really have enough money to buy what I want to. I can create a lot of depression and stress just by telling myself all those thoughts over and over again. So we may have some of those thoughts. And if you've been in some of our other webinars, we're real big on changing what you're telling yourself, without lying to yourself or sugarcoating. But what else could I tell myself to focus that I have my health? I'm going to see my family. They may not all get along perfectly, but I'm going to see them. I can leave when I need to, right? Those are some things that can really help us as we gear up for the holidays. So we want to sort out what kind of problem are we talking about? What is it that's on my mind? Do I have too many things that I'm trying to get done? Well, can I delegate? Can I cross some of those things off the list? Can I find a simpler way to do it? I had a little shirt on my list that I wanted to get for my little niece. And, I was out shopping somewhere and I found something else that I thought would be just as great. So I crossed that off my list. I didn't have to go to that other store to get that specific shirt. I ended up finding something equally great without making another trip. So compromising in some of those ways. And, just like we were reflecting on the top 3 stressors, I invite you to also think about the top 3 things you enjoy the most about the holidays. If you do usually enjoy a few things, is it driving around looking at the lights? Is it baking? For some people, that's really stressful. For some people, they love making the cookies and taking them to their neighbors. What is it that you really enjoy? Is there a special religious ceremony or spiritual ceremony that means something to you? We want to make sure we keep those things on our list. This weekend for me, they're doing a holiday bike ride, and everybody decorates their bike with Christmas lights, and we ride around a historic area, and it's a lot of fun. So that ranks on my list. I try to make sure I have time for that. The people I paddleboard with are doing something similar, decorating their boards with lights, going out at night on the water. What is it that you would really look forward to as part of the holidays? And let's make sure those things are plugged into our calendar. Otherwise, they tend to drop off the radar, and those are things that can really help our spirit. We talked about this planning thing a little bit. It's not too late to have a family meeting. If the gift giving is on your mind, you could establish that, hey, let's draw names this year. And I realize for some people, it may feel like it's too late to do some of that. But for some people, they don't usually start doing anything until much later in the month. So do you want to draw names? Do you want to set a spending limit for each gift? Do you want to adopt a family this year and put what you would have put toward your gift giving into someone that's really a needy family? Do you want to agree to do homemade gifts, handmade gifts, gifts of service? I'll watch your kid for 5 hours sometime next year. Those kinds of things can make a difference. We don't have to do same old, same old. So think about being more intentional. How would you like to approach gift giving? And those can be ways to lower our stress. We talked about delegation a little bit. Are there things around the house? Are there holiday to-dos that maybe you could involve your family? They might not do it exactly the way you would do it, but can they wrap the present good enough? Is there a way that you can get some relief from some of the things on your to-do list? Now, some experts recommend considering resolving a conflict. If you're going to be around the table with someone and there's some unfinished business, you may want to reach out to the EAP or a trusted mentor or professional. Is it the kind of situation that's better to try to resolve before that dinner? Or is it better to just adjust your mindset, let it go, get through the holidays, and then think about whether you want to come back around to it? And we know that also, I mentioned about setting a spending limit. Having a budget for the holidays can really make a big difference. Instead of just buying impulsively, like, all 10 things of these were on sale, so I got a good buy, but I don't know who I'm going to give them to, right? That can be a real source of stress. Or not keeping track of what we are spending when we consider travel, decorations, if we are doing gift giving, what does all that add up to? Special food around this time of year. And so we don't want to just wait for January for the credit card bills to roll in and the smoke to clear to see what we actually spent. So again, it's a good time, even if you're already into your shopping and spending, to pause, reflect on where you are, get on the same page with your family, your spouse or partner, significant other. How do you want to approach this situation? And then we definitely want to plug into our family and friends, see what other people are doing, and get some support outside ourselves. I mentioned relaxing before. That is such an important part, even when we feel so busy. When we get more stress, we tend to do more emotional eating. We tend to do things that aren't healthy for us. We tend to make poor decisions, react, say hurtful things, or send an email we wish we didn't. So really think about taking some deep breaths, making sure you're making that yoga class if that's something that really helps you. Considering just a few minutes of meditation, sitting quietly, calms our nervous system. Maybe you use some scents to pick up your mood. Lavender, chamomile can be very relaxing. And we allow ourselves to take a little mini vacation when we think about where we're going to go next summer, or what's a relaxing place like the beach or the mountains that can really just give you a few moments of relaxation. So let's recap some things to keep in mind this holiday season. We definitely want to consider what our family is really like the other 11 months of the year. They're probably not going to be magically different in December. So just being realistic, being flexible with people we love, especially our partner, significant other. Everybody's had a rough time for quite a few months now. So giving people grace, relaxing our expectations can really go a long way. Definitely talk to your kids now if you want the holidays to unfold a little bit differently. You may have just celebrated Hanukkah, you may be celebrating Kwanzaa, you may be celebrating Christmas. You may be celebrating just the winter holidays. However that's going to unfold or has unfolded already, use it as an opportunity to teach your kids about being intentional, making choices, not just getting swept up in all the commercial aspects. And we mentioned gift alternatives. Again, that may be something you definitely want to consider. Um, also scheduling a day off or a half a day off where you can enjoy some of the getting ready for the holidays without trying to crunch it all into after work and the weekends. So maybe that's your day to bake if that's something you really enjoy. Maybe that's your day to finish up your shopping, your wrapping, or just to have some quiet time and do nothing about the holidays, but just have some time to recharge, take a hike, uh, chill in your pajamas, watch some of those holiday movies that were mentioned. And then some people are surprised at the idea of a personal shopper. It doesn't have to be an expensive option. It could be a high school student, a college student. It could be somebody that you trade off. You're going to that store already. Can you pick up something for your friend? And then here's the things we don't want to do this holiday season. We don't want to go anywhere we don't want to go. We don't want to travel because we feel guilty. We also don't want to try to force ourselves to be in a cheery mood all the time if that's not really how we feel. Now, there's a balance. Sometimes pushing ourselves and going out and doing something can help our mood, but we don't want to have one thing after the other that we really resent that we're doing. And this is also a time to be careful about isolating, withdrawing. Most of us do better when we're around people and in connection with other humans that we enjoy. But be conscious about it. Be with people that you really enjoy being with. If you are hosting, when people say, "Can I bring anything?" Absolutely, let them bring. That will make it a lot less stressful and enjoyable for most people. Definitely choose what you want to eat before you end up in that situation with 10 sugary desserts and lots of alcohol. If you are going to things, think about taking care of how you want to eat before you go, because we know that we can crash when we do too much sugar and too many carbs. Let's face it, we don't usually crave broccoli, right? So if we are having some holiday blues or we're experiencing some stress, we're going to be more vulnerable to all those yummy desserts that we don't want to overindulge. Letting ourselves having a little bit can be a positive thing. And we also want to make sure that as best we can, we are keeping up with our exercise routine. Again, these are things that can get dropped off the radar when we get busy. But these are the things that really help us with managing our stress. So maybe you take a 20-minute walk, try to keep up the things that you normally do. If you're going to the gym, or if you have a dance class like Zumba, or you do kickboxing, whatever it is that's helping you unwind, keep those things as sacred commitments, just like you would a meeting with your boss. Make it that important where it's in your calendar. It may get moved from day to day, depending on other commitments, but doing that a few times a week really helps us sleep better. It helps release those natural feel-good chemicals, the dopamine, the endorphin. And we need about 7 to 9 hours a night of good sleep. So going to bed at the same time every night during the holiday season can be a great way to keep our body in that rhythm, whether we're getting up the next day for work or not. Not taking our devices to bed with us is also a good technique. And we want to drink a lot more water than we do caffeinated beverages or alcohol. So as we wrap up here, we want to really think about our mindset. Think about what we're telling ourselves, right? Think about the choices we have. I like this acronym a colleague taught me, Yahoo. You always have other options. Yahoo, right? So just pausing for a moment, really thinking about, do I want to say yes to that invite or that chore or that project? Even buying ourselves some time, let me think about it, can be a great way to slow down for a minute and see if this really works for you. We talked about our choices. What are the things you really enjoy about this time of year? How can we make sure that those few things are still the highest priority and they're in our calendar, on our list? And people we may feel some guilt. If we wait till we don't feel any, then we may not make the decisions we need to make for ourselves. So we always coach people, feel the guilt, do it anyway, right? We're developing muscle. It'll get easier. And some people may not like our changes that we're trying to make. But again, we want to adjust our expectations, accept that we're all doing the best we can. And we're not going to be able to control other people, just ourselves. So delegating, asking for help if you're struggling, if you don't find yourself moving in and out of some of these different moods and you feel stuck in depression or stress, remember Health Advocate EAP is here for you. So we want to manage our time. There's only so much in the day and so many days left in the year. Make sure we're having some joy, that we have some fun in our calendar, scheduled, things we're looking forward to. Make sure we're nurturing those healthy relationships and that we're taking time to also look at the financial fitness that this time of year can be stretched. And again, we have professionals in the health advocate world that can help with that. Please also check us out online, healthadvocate.com. You'll find a recording of this webinar, and you'll find other webinars on resiliency, mindfulness, emotional intelligence, supporting your kids who might be stressed. Lots of good material there that you can take advantage of. And if we can help you in any way, we hope that you will reach out to Health Advocate. We are available to you any time of the day or night. And we would love to hear from you if we can support you during this season. So I promised to keep the presentation to 30 minutes, so we're at a stopping point there. Thank you, Carly, for reposting the Health Advocate 24-hour number. I will repeat it as well in case anybody didn't get it earlier. The number to access Health Advocate any time of the day or night is 855-424-8400.